Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's installment of the FTI podcast presented by Apex Designs. With us this evening is Rich Farmer from Fremont Speedway, continuing our track owner and series promoter series here. We've had Aaron Fry and Jason from Wayne County. And now Rich Farmer from Fremont is with us this evening. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I can't complain. I can't complain. I wish spring would be a little bit warmer and a lot less rain.
Hey, this weekend looks good, so you take that one.
Yeah. You got to take it when you can get it here in Ohio.
Especially in these early months, April and May are always so washy. So it's nice when you get some good weather going.
We better have some colossal flowers for all these April showers we've been having.
Right.
Well, Rich, just want to say first off, I guess, thanks for coming on. It's really cool to be able to do this with you. I know a lot of guys and racers and fans appreciate what you're doing and kind of what's going on this year. So that is pretty cool for the whole racing community. Can you kind of go in how the whole Fremont thing went? How'd you get her back? We all saw the Facebook posts and how quick you went after her, and went basically that same week you got her and got that track turned around, and you're planning to get Fremont back to how it was when you used to run it. If you want to kind of dive into how that whole transition worked out for you and kind of what's got you pumped up for this year.
It basically started like a year ago, December, in a sense. The fair board, who I had sold my business to, 5 years ago, they asked me if I would do some consulting for them, and so I was just doing some stuff behind the scenes with the accountants, with the management of the fair board and that kind of stuff. And then as the season went on and progressed, there was sure signs that something had to change, and that they needed to take a different approach and a different path and that kind of thing. And then it became one of those like, well, do you do it or not do it situations when it all come down to it? Because I'll say the last 4 or 5 years has been some real freedom, right? You get to go play with our race cars wherever we want, whenever we wanted, and do that kind of stuff. And to come back, it's takes a lot away from family time on the weekends, and takes a lot away from picking and choosing what we go race and where and that kind of thing. But ultimately, I grew up at Fremont. I grew up as a young kid, a block out of the gate. I lived outside of there, and that place has been home to me since I've been about 5 years old. So anything I can do to make it better and succeed is what I want to do.
Yeah, that's cool. We kind of talked about it before the show, but just we know the weight social media pulls these days, with people commenting and saying whatever they want to say on there. But I will say the connotation of how people have been talking about since you've taken it over does seem really positive. And there's a lot of drivers and fans, and people just watching that are pretty excited for you to get this year started. How was your guys' first race last weekend? Did you guys, between car count, track conditions? I know you guys were able to do your show. How did that all go for you?
Yeah, all in all, it went real well. I mean, we had the highest 410 car count in the United States for the weekend, so I think that says a lot in itself.
Is that from every series and every track?
It was
every
more than
series,
high limit.
every track.
Wow.
What'd you say, sir?
It was more than high limit. High limit only had 30 cars this weekend.
Yeah, we had more than high limit, more than outlaws, more than anything in PA. It was the highest in the United States, which is cool, right? I mean, but we are in a hotbed of sprint car racing. So there's cars around here that's, maybe some of the areas in the country don't have as many cars to choose from. We're blessed with that. We put a solid program together with a solid purse. Even our B main guys go home with $150. So, I hope that helps to continue the good car count through the summer. And, we put a program together that I really feel is going to be solid through the season. And our opening night racetrack was nice. We ran a daytime show. We started early, and, the thing held up well. It was smooth. It was, what you need to be able to race on. And I don't think anybody could really complain about that.
Did you have to do for the track surface? Did you guys do anything different with the dirt over the winter at the beginning of the season, or did you guys just kind of rework it at all?
We raced on it once in October. We finished up a show, and the track was okay, but it just needed dirt. The dirt was getting low on it. So once the dirt gets low, it gets below the drains, creates problems. So to prevent problems for this summer, we added 133 loads of quad axle dump truck loads of new clay on it, and we're extremely fortunate there. Every piece of clay that's on my racetrack has come out of the same field since 1951. So
Wow.
it's dirt that we're familiar with. It's dirt that we know what to do with and works well, and that's why out of the box we could have a positive result.
Yeah, that's cool. Flory, we kind of got into Flory a little bit. The whole track maintenance aspect of it, of being a track owner, running a track, is pretty intensive, and a lot of people probably don't know anything about that or think they do. So I couldn't imagine kind of dealing with all that and hauling that much dirt in and trying to work all of it. So that's pretty impressive. Did this weekend, who won? Cale Thomas, correct?
Cale Thomas, yeah.
Yep. That's cool. Did you get any feedback from any of the drivers after the first race already, or hear anything?
Yeah, you get a bunch of text messages and Facebook messages and phone calls and stuff, and yeah, everything was positive. I told every time they tell me, "Oh man, this is great, man, I'm glad you're back." I said, "You guys remember that shit in August, right? Because when we're together for a while and somebody has a bad night and something goes wrong and you're looking for somebody to blame, it's usually me, and I'm okay with that, but." I tell them, when you guys get on social media and you start complaining about, we ran a little late, or racetrack was a little rough, or whatever might happen, I always remind them, like, you guys are lucky. I can't post on there that we'd have got done a half hour sooner if Joey didn't spin out or whatever. It can't be a two-way street, unfortunately, but these guys know me. They all know me very well. I'm a pretty straight up, no bullshit kind of guy. So we get it done. We do the job, and they know what we're there for. They know what our intentions are, and I think that carries a lot of weight.
Yeah, and I've hardly, even like I said, over the past few years, hardly ever hear anything terrible about the track. I mean, track conditions have been a topic, but like we said, it's more the drivers understand what it is, and we all race on it. You know how that goes. So, is there what's big for this year that you're looking forward to? I know you just got the track back. You're worried about and concerned about trying to make Fremont better, but between the AFCS series and some of the Speedway stuff and all that, how did that kind of play out, and what's got you excited for this year, getting the track back?
I think overall, we're excited just to be able to move sprint car racing and racing as a whole forward, right? Especially here at home in Ohio. It's what's important to me. It's important to our entire team. I mean, you look at a lot of the people that are working with me and for me. It's we're all dedicated racers that have been around a long time. So I think that part is a huge help when it comes to being excited and moving forward and all of that. And we got some really cool events coming. If you look at our schedule, every night's got Batman, Wonder Woman, that kind of stuff, draw people in that maybe aren't necessarily race fans, and hopefully we can convert them. So, we do a lot of that kind of stuff. Some people call it gimmicks and whatever, but we call it promoting. And there's a lot of people out there that swing a gate open at a racetrack and think they're promoting races, but there's a lot more to it than that. But we do what we can to try to grow this sport and grow Fremont and make it exciting.
I just pulled the schedule up. I do like Superhero Night. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just something different. You got to have I believe, you look back and the amount of money that people are spending for entertainment today and these devices like the one I'm holding to talk to you guys on is really taking away a lot of people's patience level. Like they want information, they want it now, they want to move on, they want it over with, right? So the idea of competing for entertainment and keeping them entertained and that kind of stuff, I felt like, and I did this several years before I left Fremont, we put themes and stuff in place to really grow the fan base, right? We want to try to get people to come out and get excited to a race. And sometimes it takes more than just that race to get them there and to keep them entertained while they're there.
Yeah, and I think that's, a hard thing for a lot of track owners to kind of make sure you get the whole show in and everybody stays there the whole time, because you don't want people leaving, too early. So do you plan on still running the 3-class schedule?
Yeah, I am a 3-class guy. I'm not a big fan of 4 or 5 class racing formats and stuff. I think if you can get 3 healthy divisions and do the best you can with them, try to get the people in, get them out. And, ultimately when you're running 4 and 5 and 6 classes, like some places do, you're only selling so many tickets, right? So at the end of the day, you're either not paying those guys very well to race and they're making you money on the back gate, or you're overdrawing the crowd and keeping them there too long and not really giving them a quality product. I mean, my focus is, a quality product, right? We want you to come there, be entertained in a reasonable amount of time. And we want to be able to pay our racers enough that they can afford to do it as well.
Yeah, that means a lot to, racers like me and people watching in the stands. I'm sure there are some older fans that are familiar with how you had the place running before, and I'm sure they're looking forward and have some pretty high hopes for, this year.
Older fans? Hell, I ain't been gone that long, buddy.
I guess you only said 5 years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 30. I'm 30, and I haven't been able to be there under your ownership till this year. So,
gotcha.
Another thing was we talked to Aaron last week about the Speed Week and kind of how all that played out. Flory touched on some meetings that took place. With however deep you want to go into it, how did the Speed Week situation with Fast kind of work for you, and what did you expect versus what is going to happen, and how do you feel like it's going to turn out this year?
I think for me, did it turn out exactly how we would all picture it would have? No, absolutely not. But did it turn out in a manner that's best for the short term? I think it absolutely did. Some of us have streaming agreements with different parties and that kind of thing. And, unfortunately, it is part of the sport, and it's probably going to remain part of the sport for this long term. We just compromise solves everything is the easiest way to answer that one. We got what we needed done. The job is done. Everybody can move forward. I know that, my race is 10,000 to win at Fremont. My race at Findlay is 7,500 to win at Findlay. So we're kind of setting the bar, and hopefully these other guys can step up and make it where the whole week pays good and does things where we can continue. It's 42 years of Ohio Sprint Speed Week. So, hopefully we can get everybody lined up to make it a lot further than that down the road. So I think everybody's, we're all passionate, right? We're all passionate about what we do. We're passionate about our facilities, our teams, and all that stuff. And sometimes that passion can get a little, I don't know how you say it. You get a little wound up, right? And I'm a very wear it on my sleeve kind of guy. And, when I believe something and I know that it's best for the sport, and, I'm one of few that have owned cars, driven cars, owned racetracks, owned series. I used to own Fast. So, I've been down this whole path, and I don't know anybody else in my position other than, maybe Tony Stewart, and he's on a different level than I am even.
Yeah, one thing I keep hearing you say is, for the betterment of racing and sprint car racing in general, So it's awesome to hear, your priorities of what you're doing it for isn't for, personal gain or just so it's better, at Fremont, Fremont Attica. It's, for for the whole racing community. So it's cool to kind of, hear that and be a part of it. It did seem like everything was kind of hanging up in the air after High Limit took over All Stars, and that was a big debate for a lot of people in races. A lot of racers felt like Ohio was kind of getting the short stick on that because we did rely on a lot of the All Star stuff for a lot of the bigger races. How did you take the whole All Star and High Limit takeover? Did you think it was going to work out that way? Do you see it taking off and being a good thing, or do you?
I think everybody knew out of the box that the High Limits wasn't going to remain a regional deal with the All Stars. Anybody that didn't think that was probably had their head under a rock somewhere, right? Do I think that sacrificing the All Stars is good? Absolutely not. Now, does that mean that in a year or two they can't bring it back as a regional deal, and maybe the national deal doesn't work out as well, but the regional deal does, and the midweek stuff does, and maybe they end up retracting back to something that makes a little bit more sense for the entire community. That's to be determined. But, for me, the All-Stars is the oldest wing sprint car series in the United States, and it got sacrificed. And I won't sugarcoat that I don't like that fact, but it wasn't me. Everybody had an opportunity to buy it, right? It was for sale, supposedly. So anybody could have bought it, right? So I always say, when you see somebody do something in business, don't be mad of how they're doing it. Be mad that you're not doing it. So to me, it's what it is. And, we've increased our program. And I think maybe, on the flip side of that is by that thing going away, it's forced a lot of people to step up their program. It's forced Ohio as a whole. If you look at the schedule, you'll see that for the vast majority of the schedule, there's not a lot of conflict on big dates, right? We do have a couple here and there, but they're unavoidable to a certain degree. Some of them are unavoidable. We all got a race, right? We're all running 410 cars. We're all trying to build schedules. We're all trying to appease our sponsors, our teams, and everybody like that. So we're trying to do what we can. So we can't lay down for everything and everyone. But if you look at it, Wayne County, we're not racing against their outlaw show. They're not racing against ours. Sharon, we're not racing against theirs. They're not racing against ours. The Pete Jacobs Memorial, we're not racing against that. They're not racing against Jim Ford Classic. Lou Blaney, we're not racing against that. They're not racing against Jim Ford Classic. We're not running against the outlaw stuff in May. We're not running against the Kings Royal. We're off of it all as much as we absolutely can. The only thing I can, we are racing the weekend, and Charlie's racing at Atomic, and unfortunately Memorial Weekend is a holiday weekend, and it's good and big for everybody. And, you can't just lay down for everything, and he's a long ways away from us. So I think, it's proven over the years. You look at the big events down there, you get 1-2 cars that maybe go there. And likewise up here, you get 1-2 cars that come up here. So I don't think it hurts anybody on any certain level to speak of. And, I know Jeff down at Portsmouth wasn't happy with us because we're racing against their show, their Niddle show. And unfortunately, like I told him, us guys that we invest in 410 sprint car racing, right? Our purse, prize money points, all that stuff is an investment to grow 410 sprint car racing, to maintain 410 sprint car racing, to keep it healthy in Ohio, and to have events that cherry pick that investment. They want to run one big event a year and expect everybody that invests every week to lay down for them. Well, that's difficult, right? And I don't think any of us are really wanting to, like I said, we make an investment. We want a return on it.
Yeah, it's cool to hear that, because even as a racer, I had no idea kind of the tracks, how much they work together. And it's cool to see at the end of the day, they're working for, the betterment of it. Is there anything that you were counting on this year to happen that might not happen now, between track dates or outlaw shows or high limit shows? I know you said you kind of worked on the place in December and was working on getting it over. I know the high limit all-star News was, announced very close to that time. Is there anything you feel like you're cut short on this year, or do you almost feel like you're in a better spot?
I don't feel like I'm cut short on anything. I think, you look at our program, we got the richest paying funds in Fremont Speedway history, richest paying points fund in Fremont Speedway history. We have our marquee events that we've had in the past, our Memorial Weekend 2 days that we ran the whole time I was there. Before we still have an Ohio Sprint Speed Week date. We still have Jim Ford Classic. We still have everything we've always had. And, when you look at Jim Ford Classic, the original one was non-sanctioned, and most of them were non-sanctioned over the years. So we're not I don't feel like we're in a remotely bad position. I think we're in probably one of the best positions we've been in a very long time. So I'm good with everything. I hope that as time goes on, that the upper level of sprint car racing, I always called it the Formula One level, the outlaw style, high limit level. I hope that they can some way find a common ground to make it where it works for everybody a little better than it is right now, or at least better than it appears. Maybe it is better than I see it, but I hope that we can get back to working more as a unit than the separation. But corporate stuff gets in the way sometimes.
So speaking of corporate stuff, we've asked almost everybody that's been on the podcast. Most people have been, either 410 Sprint drivers, owners, or series promoters. What are your thoughts on the charter system that High Limit has proposed?
I think the charter system is here's my take on it. I'll give you the no bullshit take. That charter system ain't worth 50 cents unless the outlaws don't exist. Because as long as you can go race and get tow money and get prize money and get start money and get points money and get all the stuff that the charter system provides you at another place, there's no value to it as a car owner, right? And the design is to be valuable as a car owner. So if you can only buy that charter to get into that series, unless that series is going to have some substantial value over what you would get as running as an outlaw, I just don't see the business side of that, right? I just don't see where that calculates to making sense. And I know there's, share value in the TV, but I don't know that I haven't seen or heard of any detail being released that says, well, the production costs X amount of dollars, it generates this much dollars, so you're projected to get this much money, right? I don't know that anybody has seen that, or at least it hasn't been spoke of if it has. But until the outlaw program, if it was gone, then the charter program maybe has a value. But as it stands, I could sign up our team tomorrow as an outlaw team and get tow money, get points money, and get everything I need to be, and all I got to do is be loyal, right? I mean, it's no different when you sign up and go to work for a company. They pay you X amount of dollars to do the job. So to be determined what happens long term, but as of today, I don't see the value as long as you can get a similar product for free.
Well put.
Looking at some of the finishes now, how many of these not all-star high limit guys do you think are actually going to stick with the tour all year?
It's hard to say. It pays good. They're traveling. They're doing the stuff they like to do. I think, not all these guys necessarily need to win the most money, because some of the teams, they're very well funded. They can go do that. And it's like all-stars, outlaws, fast, high limit. It don't matter. AFCS. We got 22 cars signed up for AFCS as of the other day. I think it was 22, 23 cars. Are all of them going to make it? Absolutely not. The All-Stars never had cars make it through the year. The Outlaws don't have cars make it. High Limit's not going to have cars make it. It's the nature of the beast. People sign up and they think it's going to be great, and maybe they didn't travel. And this is where I think losing the All-Stars is like a huge deal for the sprint car food chain. If you're a local guy and you want to go learn to travel and learn to be a traveling team, you don't have that step anymore. Because traveling to Fremont, Attica, I mean, unless you live in Chicago or something, is not that damn big a deal, right? So being able to go out and spend, a couple weeks on the road and working out of a hotel and parking lots and all the stuff that you do, these guys teeter with it for Speed Week, and half the guys don't run the whole Speed Week doing that even. So it's kind of like, I think the teams that are equipped for it and built for it are going to understand it and do it. I mean, like Rudine, right? They got the funding, they got the cars, they got the people. Tyler Courtney and those guys got the stuff. Brett Marks, they got the stuff. Rico's clearly got the stuff, but like Connor Morrell, he signed up, he was high limit. Well, he's not high limit no more, right? And that's, they just weren't prepared. And I think some people sign up for the ooh and the ah, and they're going to be there and they want to be part of it because they think it's cool. But reality at some point sets in, and that happens at every single level of racing. So it's not a series problem. It's just a race problem. People have big dreams, and sometimes big dreams cost big money and big time, and they don't have it all.
I think we talked about how high limit is like in the Midwest of the country that week, right? That Kansas or something, the week of Speed Week.
Yeah, they're in Missouri and Nebraska that weekend.
So we're kind of curious. Do you think that some of the guys from PA or some of the guys that normally were household all-star guys, Peck, Marks, Macri, guys like that, do you think with it being that later in the season, do you think we'll still draw any of those bigger guys for Ohio Sprint Speed Week? We talked to Forey, and he kind of thought that caliber of guys will fall off, but with that week, them having to go all the way across the country, we didn't know if they'd maybe, stay to chase the money here in Ohio.
Well, if you put Brett Marks and not that caliber of driver, you guys all need your head checked. But Brett Marks is probably one of the best race car drivers in the country right now. So I don't see the top level teams falling off, right? They got good reason to be there. The points fund is good. The midweek stuff's good. And you could look at the Outlaw deal and say the same thing. I mean, you probably got some cars on the Outlaw deal that are going to fall off that could fall into Ohio Speed Week too. I think the fact that we had 38 cars at Fremont last week tells us Ohio Speed Week's going to be just fine. And if you look back, everybody says the caliber of the car. If you go back to Ohio Speed Week back in the 90s, guess where all the drivers came from? Ohio. They just happened to be good drivers. They happened to be Kenny Jacobs. They happened to be Jack Hodenshield, right? They happened to be the guys that were Ohio guys that maybe weren't even on the Outlaw Tour yet. They happened to be regional cars, all-star cars, and that kind of stuff. So I don't worry myself with the brand name. I worry myself with the show, right? Are we going to put on a good show? Are we going to have good races? Are we going to attract others? Absolutely. Danny Dietrich's already been committed to the Ohio Speed Week. He's got it on his schedule. We've talked about it. I know he's good with it, and there's going to be, plenty of guys, and you can't discount that Fast is going to have a few guys of their own that should be okay. The Elliott, the Spithill, those kind of guys that are going to be there. So I think, we take care of us here in Ohio, and the rest of the world can go fight amongst racing at, Lake Ozark or wherever the hell they're at.
Yeah, I personally, I think the Speed Week deal will be just fine. The bigger caliber guys that people are afraid of losing, I don't see a big gap between the caliber that we think that is compared to the caliber of guys that are currently racing at Attica Fremont.
Well, and if any track is worried about losing the caliber of drivers, it's real simple to fix that. Just pay the money. I mean, if you pay the money, the cars come. I mean, you can't have a 50-cent purse and expect $10,000 talent. So hopefully,
was that the thing you really focused on after you gained the track, was trying to up that payout? Because I know you guys did have a good jump this year, and honestly have always paid well. Was that something that you initially knew you were already going to go after?
I said the day after I had the racetrack that I was going to be 4,000 win 400 to start no matter what. I own race cars. I know what they cost. I get it. And you got to be able to give these guys at least enough to, not that any of us are going to make money racing, right? We know that. It's not about that, but we got to have enough money to where the guys that can do it and still go to work, their blue collar normal job, they still got to be able to have a chance to race and a chance to make enough money to come back next week, and to me, that's important. It's difficult. Don't get me wrong. It's not not every place can do it. Not every place has a fan base that can do it. Not every place has a car count that can do it, or sponsorship support that can do it. And that's understandable. But if you can't support the program and you can't get the support, then you might need to look at a different division to fill the gap.
Well said.
Now, you had talked about this a little bit earlier with this streaming. How do you feel about streaming your races on Dirt Vision? Good, bad, indifferent?
Well,
kind of.
I don't have the results. Here's my take on it. My take is that on the days like last weekend when it was 45 degrees and we were dumb enough to race, people are going to stay home and watch it, and I don't expect them not to, right? When the days where it's going to be, they're going to race, it's going to rain, the wind's going to blow, whatever, they're going to stay home and watch, and I don't expect them not to. At the end of the day, does streaming, for me, allow people to see that we have a different facility than we had last year? Absolutely. Does streaming allow me the ability to go out and gain regional partnership and maybe some national partnership and stuff like that? Absolutely. It's already done that. Does it give my teams the ability to go out and get same type of program with sponsorship? Absolutely. So you got to weigh the good and the bad. You can't just sit here and say, oh, it's going to keep people home. Oh, it's going to do this. Oh, it's going to do that. If you think you're going to fail, you're going to fail. If you think you're going to succeed, you're more likely to succeed. If you surround yourself with the people that succeed, you're more likely to succeed. And Dirt Vision is clearly proven to be succeeding, right? That program is solid. It's good. And, I think we're going to be okay with it.
So when a track signs up to be on Dirt Vision, is there any like monetary incentive for you to do that from Dirt Vision, like royalties or anything like that? Or
yeah, there is a little bit there. Yeah, they give you like $700 a night. I mean, it's not like you're getting rich off of it, but it is something.
Okay, yeah, I just wasn't sure because we've heard Wayne County, they're on the Cushion, and
right.
I know Sharon is a Dirt Vision track as well, and I didn't know if there was some kind of like kickback to being on one of those platforms.
I'll be honest. At my facility, I don't let you sell a chicken sandwich if you're not paying me something.
At the end of the day, it's all a business. So
yeah,
it is. It is a hobby business, right? So, it's one of those deals. I'll never be able to quit my day job to go do this, and that's okay with me. But at the same token, we want it to where it can, attempt to be self-sustaining. And over the years, I ran the racetrack during the worst economic times during the Great Depression, and we survived. So, I'd have liked to have had it the last 4 years with Trump or something. I'd have probably done real well. We'll see.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, if we're lucky.
The AFCS series between Attica Fremont, that's always, for me personally, it's always seemed like a real pinnacle of Ohio and local sprint car racing. I've always been excited and usually always only go to Attica and Fremont on those nights and go into it knowing it's going to be probably some of the toughest racing between the two tracks. Personally, I've never figured out either one of them and get taken to school every time I go to either one. But how's AFCS and Dwayne with you guys doing that? Did you work with Dwayne already prior when you owned the track before, or is that a new relationship?
I've known Dwayne for a very long time. So, if you look back, we had the Fast Series in 2009. So we've had this joint points fund thing for a long time already. It's just when I left, they didn't want to continue with the Fast program because we were doing a small amount of travel and this and that. So I ended up giving that to Aaron, and then the AFCS was created to kind of fill the void behind that. And Dwayne stepped in to do it, and he's done a great job. I mean, he's brought a lot of new people to the sport and to Fremont and Attica, and from the marketing side, and he's very creative in getting some extra bonus money in the hands of the drivers and stuff. And I think overall, when you look at it right now, I mean, where else can you go race in the United States? Race for just, if you do the math on the prize money that's available between Fremont and Attica, plug in all the extra events that you get to go to, like the outlaw events around us, the high limit events around us, the Pete Jacobs race, the, Lou Blaney, the Jim Ford, the Kings Royal, you plug all of that stuff in and you get to race for about $3 million of prize money and you don't got to leave the damn state. So I think, tell me when that's ever happened or where it happens anywhere else. I don't know that it happens in Central PA even. So, if you throw Knoxville in the mix, they got a nice, strong weekly program, but they don't have a dancing partner 25 miles away that's doing it with them. So, I think when you look at it from that angle, the AFCS combined with what everything else, show me a better program anywhere.
I've got nothing but good things to say about Dwayne. Every time I've been to an AFCS show, he's always he knows I run at Wayne County most of the time and don't get to come out to Western Ohio all the time, but he's always helpful. I know one time I got a hard charger at Attica one night and he gave it to me, and I was probably the most pumped I've ever been after a race. And I flipped one night. He got me a hard charger or a hard luck award. Dwayne's been an awesome dude from every interaction I've had with him, and I really think the AFCS series is a pretty awesome and stout series to be a part of.
Yeah, it is. And you look at like I said, we got more drivers committed this year than any other series in the United States too. So, we're starting off strong, and I think it's gonna end up very well at the end of the summer.
How many races is the AFCS?
I think it's like 20. I think it's right around there, 18 or 20.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal, I think, to kind of run that series. I've always shied away from it, but it's definitely something on the to-do list to kind of go out there and be able to at least run that series. I've always loved going to Fremont and Attica just for the nostalgia of it. Like I said, I'm pretty new still, so it's still. I love going to the tracks. I love Fremont. I love seeing the water tower in the back. Yeah, I love being at the fairgrounds. Everything about Fremont is pretty awesome. And you guys got another one on deck this weekend, correct?
Yeah, yep. We got AFCS event this weekend and Superheroes Night. Yeah, it should be a great show.
Oh yeah. Do you wanna kind of go into the Superhero Night and kind of your thinking behind doing some of that stuff?
Yeah, it's every one of our weekends they're either a special event like an outlaw show or something like that, or they have some kind of a theme community gathering type of deal with it. So this weekend is Superheroes Night. So we got Batman, Spider-Man, I think Superman, Wonder Woman, Red Ranger, Mr. Incredible. That I think we have all those guys committed, and then we. Comic-Con's kind of a popular thing nowadays. So anybody that comes in their superhero outfit, they get in for free. And, hopefully we can attract some kids, get them addicted to sprint car racing and dirt racing as a whole, and have them come out and become repeat customers.
That's awesome. I think that's a great idea, by the way.
Yeah, that's amazing. I wish more tracks would do stuff like that. Like when I was little, I grew up with asphalt racing, and
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm new to the dirt world, and I've kind of become addicted to it. After close to 30 years in asphalt, and then going into dirt, holy hell, what have I been missing my whole life?
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different program. I mean, I do own a pavement sprint car that sits in the corner and gets out every now and then, very rarely, but it's there. And we have a indoor midget that we bought last year to play with. But yeah, for the most part, we're dirt guys, and every now and then we go try to have fun on the pavement.
So there's one on your schedule here. The Trade Your Track Night. What is that?
Oh, that's you go buy your ticket from the last week or wherever, if you was at another racetrack the week before, and you bring your ticket stub to my racetrack, and I'm going to give you a discount off the ticket to get in. And, just trying to attract people. At the end of the day, I like going to different racetracks. I've been to a whole bunch of them, and, hopefully there's some people out there that would just like to come and have a different experience for a night and check it out. And we just, again, we're trying to sell ourselves and make a good, exciting program and make people want to show up.
Yeah, I think you have the most out of the dirt tracks locally of something going on every night to bring fans in, and not just your weekly show or whatever.
You'll never see a schedule. You'll never see a race schedule with my name on it anywhere that says regular show or the same press play repeat. I'm just not that. I'm not built that way, I guess. So you got to have some flavor, you got to have some variety, and you got to give them something other than just swinging the gates.
Yeah, the one you have on right after 4th of July weekend, you have the tailgate competition. That seems pretty cool.
Yeah, that's like you go to tailgate at a football party or football game or baseball game, and you got your stuff set up, and you're rooting for your favorite team. And in our world, we got a whole lot of teams instead of just two. So we got an area dedicated that wraps around the outside of the pits. That's like the main entranceway where people have to walk up through. And so we're gonna give a very, very nice prize to the best tailgater and a equally nice prize to the best team represented. So I'm looking forward to that one. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We've had people call in and they're like, well, what's off limits? What's not off limits? I'm like, man, it ain't nothing off limits other than, as long as, come, have a good time, be family friendly. So, they don't get any strippers or anything like that, but we had to tame it down just a little bit, but it should be all right.
Dang, there goes our idea to root for Dan. The stripper's just Dan, by the way.
That's bad deal.
I
think it's cool.
Cans of Twisted Tea at him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's cool having like special nights for it all, because like the kid nights or like law enforcement nights. I always think that stuff's cool. And it's like he said, it's better than just doing your normal show. Again and again. It adds a little bit of flavor to it, and it's cool for the fans. But I also feel like when you have those special name nights as a driver going into it, you wanna win superhero night. I mean, it's a pretty cool deal to see kind of what you've adopted this year.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, we work hard on it. My wife and I, we sit up at night and dream up stupid stuff to, try to figure out how we can make it function. And, look at all the national holidays that are out there. You ever get curious, just Google what today really is. It might be National Hot Dog Day or Jelly Bean Day or Easter Bunny. There's some weird shit out there. Trust me.
Yeah, another cool
day.
Yeah, another cool one you have here coming up in a few weeks. You have driver versus fan sim racing night. So are you guys actually going to have like a sim there?
Are you guys familiar with Tim Sims, the guy that does the iRacing sims? They look like sprint cars. Have you guys ever seen him? He runs around Speedway. He goes to Eldora, the big shows and stuff like that. So Tim Nichols and I, we've been buddies a long time. So I called him up and I said, hey, I want to do this deal. And we're going to drag, like when the 305 heat races are going on, we'll drag some 410 guys up to race with the fans and the opposite and stuff like that, and have it where they can, go up, be personable with the fans and get them engaged and have some fun and win some prizes with that as well.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's sweet because normally, I mean, Tim Sims, he goes all over. I race sometimes in his little series he has during the winter on iRacing. But yeah, I know normally when you see him, it's usually just Eldora.
Yeah, or Speed Week. He's done some other. I own a bunch of Napa Auto Parts stores, and he's done some special events for me with that stuff. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a different perspective for the teams and the drivers, and so yeah, trying to do that. We have a fantasy league for all three divisions this year. You can get on My Race Pass and sign up for that. Even if you got 80% score, so you can miss the first night or two and catch up, and you'll still be okay there. I'm hoping that the champions, I'm going to give them a table at my banquet, and I hope they go up on stage and say, man, I really want to thank this team for getting me here today. And, just have some fun with it, right? Say Byron Reed won the championship and Bobby's wins the damn fantasy thing, and he can go up there, man, Byron, I really want to thank you and the team. You guys carried me to this victory. Think of how much fun that'll be in November or whatever when we hand out prize money.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't think anybody else is doing that on my race passes, are they?
Probably not.
Yeah, it's just another idea you got. One thing I'm excited to ask is, I know we touched on it a little bit before about racing history, and you can get into some of your racing history if you like, but I guess I wanted to ask more importantly what your plans were this Friday.
I'm just going to run my little 305 car Friday at Attica just to go try to have some fun and see if I can, and try not to embarrass myself.
How long's it been since you've been in there?
I think like 2 weeks, 3 weeks or something. I raced a car at Attica a few weeks ago and didn't do so well. We had some gremlins, and I think we got them fixed. We'll find out.
So is this the first year that you've hopped in a car? Because I guess pardon me for not knowing, but
a long time ago, I used to race weekly. I raced dirt trucks and dirt late models weekly back in the early 2000s, and then I run a sprint car, I think 2005 or so, for a little bit. I broke my neck in a dirt truck and kind of didn't race much after that. My kids were little, and then every now and then I get that crackhead addiction to race, and so yeah, we're solving my crackhead addiction right now.
That's cool. I mean, it's got to be pretty exciting to be able to at least get back in the car to be able to do some things like that. Do you plan to do more this year, or is it just kind of, like you said, is it just kind of feeding the addiction a little bit here and there, or do you plan
We'll see how competitive we are. If we're competitive, I'll probably race quite a bit. If not, I'll maybe stuff my kid in there and see if I can put the gun to his head. Maybe he'll be dumber than me and go faster. I don't know. But, just try to have fun. At the end of the day, we work a lot, and it's nice to be able to throw a helmet on, and the only thing that you care about for that time being is that race car. So it's a nice escape from the rest of the world. So if I can be competitive, I'll probably race a little bit.
The one thing I wanted to ask about Fremont again, sorry for bouncing back and forth.
No, you're good.
The Rick Ferkel Classic. My buddy Stan Ball, who got me into racing, I know he was a big Rick Ferkel fan and got to work with him when he was first starting out, and I've grown to like Rick Ferkel. How do you guys get those shows to be Outlaws? How is working with the Outlaws? Is it pretty simplistic? Is it something that's kind of already ingrained between the track and the series, or do you have to put a lot of extra work into that, or have you been promoting to them and like, hey, it's gonna be better than ever this year than the last 5 years? Can you kind of go into that a little bit?
I'm the only promoter that's ever ran a World of Outlaws show at Fremont that wasn't operated by Earl Baldus. Actually, Earl ran one back in the 90s there, and
Wow.
we've ran. I think this would be our 5th one, maybe something like that. And I've never wanted to run them annually per se, because I think that you lose some of the flavor doing it. But we're in a fortunate position. They send me a check-in sheet the other day, and it's like, yeah. It makes me wonder some of the places they go because of what's on the check-in sheet. It kind of makes me question, like, really? This is kind of strange. You guys don't have bathrooms at some of these places. That kind of stuff. It's kind of strange, when you look at it. But ultimately, it's it's been a great experience. They're real easy for us to work with because, like I said, we run their program every week, right? So it's just it's kind of an easier day for us in a sense. Outside of the the front gate side of things is a little more hectic, but for like my job and competition director's job and stuff like that, it's a little easier because they have their own people to do that stuff, right? So Johnny comes in and kind of gives our announcer a little bit of an easier day, and they bring in Carlton, and he makes the things run smooth, and them guys know what their format is, so it's really more of our guys getting used to them than us getting used to than them having to get used to us. So it's a pretty easy deal.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't think that. I guess I expected it to be more of a, bullshit struggle with trying to get
Yeah.
dates and all that. So that's
Well, I mean, there's been times. Don't get me wrong. Years ago, I tried to get a midsummer date, and I couldn't get one to save my ass. That they give us like an October date, September date, late September, early October. This is the first outlaw show we've ever had that had a summertime, like, felt like we had a better chance kind of date. So um, that's good. But you got to remember, there's a high demand for that program. There's a lot of those races in Ohio. They're trying to, they don't want to dilute the program to where there's too many, and that kind of stuff. So it's hard to find a balance for everybody that works, and everybody's got dates that trying to work around each other. So it's on their side, it's probably a lot more challenging than it is for us.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see kind of behind the scenes. I'm sure you probably get more phone calls than you want, more text messages than you want. I was laughing at the Facebook post last week or a couple weeks ago. It said, quit calling me, quit texting me. I'll let everybody know for what we're doing. Kind of like you said, wearing it on your sleeve and no bullshit guy. So
Attica canceled, and somehow it became my problem. I was like, somebody texted me and like, hey, ARP canceled tonight, whatever. And I'm up at the racetrack. We're working, and I'm like, okay, cool. The next thing you know, phone blowing up. I'm like, oh, I'm done with this. And I what I don't understand about it is nobody put anything out there that said we were even thinking about canceling or considering it or pondering it or anything like that. And I don't know how somebody that somehow has my cell phone, which is a very easy to find number. I mean, I've had the same number for, 30 years now. So it's not like it's hard to find. It's, but texting me, or they're not going to get any different privileged answer than anybody else would get. And when the time comes, you'll get the answer.
yeah, and I'm sure that's one of the most annoying, things you might have to, maybe not annoying, but most repetitive things you have to deal with. I will say though, whoever does your social media between posting lineups and like actual race day, I love when they do that stuff and put them on social media, especially for drivers to be able to kind of see that stuff without having to go to the pit board and stuff. So I do love seeing the social media you guys put out.
Yeah, and the nice thing, Rachel does a great job with that. She's come back on board with us. She's done really good. There's times where I look at it and I'm like, man, maybe we're putting a little too much information out. Maybe it kind of, people don't want to see as much. I don't know what the real answer is to that, but like we went to My Race Pass this year, so you can, if you got the app, you can get on there, you can see all the timing, you can see the scoring, you can see the lineups, you can see all of that stuff. You don't even have to go to the pit board anymore. Our pit board is digital this year. It's a television when you go down there, so it's all connected into our scoring system. So it's got everything as you can see it as it's working. It just keeps up with the night as it goes. So we've done a lot of background technical changes to things to try to make an improvement for everybody, and within social media and beyond, I guess.
Yeah, and it's hard to kind of keep up, with the times and everything changing, but it's cool to see you guys kind of adapted that, and the My Race Pass deal is pretty cool. I've got it on my phone. A lot of like Southern tracks in Ohio used it, so I've already had it, and it also has driver profiles and cool stuff on there too. So a lot of interaction with fans on there. I know it has like nicknames, favorite food, favorite places to go. So
Yeah, I wish I could
drivers
get more
can
of our
fill it
guys
out
to
too.
sign up for that.
Yeah, if it'd be cool if everybody, all the drivers could kind of fill that out. I know it has like favorite song, favorite artist. So it is a cool addition to racing, and especially Fremont, to kind of have that, because it does feel like Fremont seems very personable. The Fremont fans, Attica fans, seem really personable to their track and their drivers, just from what I've seen.
Oh, I think they would protect him in battle for sure.
Yeah, That's the only thing I always say. I mean, Fremont, like I said, it's always been pretty nostalgic place, and I always love going there, and can't wait to get there this year. I know we're running up close to here on our hour. Is there anything specific you want to kind of throw out there? Any events, any topics, any sponsors, anything you want us or the fans to kind of do? Kind of give you a couple minutes here to kind of throw out what you want and ramble and see if there's anything else we could do for you.
I think we covered a lot of stuff, and at the end of the day, our biggest thing is come out, enjoy an event. You can always pre-buy tickets at FremontOHSpeedway.com. You can get tickets for any event except for the Outlaw event. Those are available at the World of Outlaws page. But for us, we want everybody to be able to come out, have an enjoyable time, enjoy the show. If you're a race team, come out, have the best experience you can have, and really just grow the sport and keep it where 73 years at Fremont. So we're trying for another 73 more. That's the important part for me.
Yeah, that's impressive in itself, really. I mean, you kind of threw a lot of historical facts about Fremont and you that I never knew, between the outlaw shows and the car counts, and it's pretty I guess I don't know, it's almost unbelievable, how much actual knowledge and history is within Fremont Speedway, especially I didn't grow up around there, so I didn't know a lot of it, but it is cool to see you kind of taking this over and grabbing the horse by the reins. I'm sure you had a lot to say in the AFCS stuff and the Speed Week stuff. So, as a fan and as a driver, I'm pretty thankful for, what you've done for the sport and everything in Ohio.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate that. If you ever want to learn more about the history, we have a full museum at the racetrack, the Fremont Speedway Hall of Fame. It's got its own dedicated building. It's the only motorsport museum in the state of Ohio that I'm aware of. So you can come up, check it out. There's some cool cars in there. There's a lot of pictures and memorabilia and all that kind of stuff. So that's, there's some pretty neat stuff. And Memorial Weekend, they'll have a very unique World of Outlaw cars display in there that are, all very historic World of Outlaw cars. And then we got the following weekend is when we do our Hall of Fame inductions for the year, and probably one of the most historic cars in Fremont Speedway history will make a debut that day. So that's going to be really cool, and if you can get up and check that out, that'd be neat.
Yeah, the little Hall of Fame there is always something I kind of forget about, but every time I go, I walk my way over there, it always jogs my memory, and I got to run through there real quick. It is definitely pretty interesting. There's a lot more in that little building than most people would think. Always cool cars on display, pictures, stuff hanging around there. So yeah, I also suggest anybody that hasn't been there, it is a very, very, very cool spot to go check out while you're at the track.
I think if anything, Kyle and I have been convinced that we need to make a trip out this year.
Oh yeah. Well, we will be at Mid Ohio the weekend of Speed Week. I think it's the first weekend of Speed Week when you're in Attica, and we're definitely thinking about coming up from the IMSA race at Mid Ohio and driving up, to Attica and Fremont to spend our nights. We'll spend the day over at Mid Ohio and then drive up.
Yeah, that's not a terrible drive. That's a pretty easy drive right up the highway. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, last year we did it from there to Norwalk to cover the NHRA race. So we're used to that drive by now.
Right.
But do you have any sponsors or any partners you want to thank or shout out before we wrap up?
We have a title sponsor this year with Gill Construction and Ray Brooks. I mean, that's probably, he stepped up big to help us out this year. And we have so many sponsors at our racetrack that to name a few would be unfair to the rest. It's the amount of support that we have this year is amazing. And we're just really grateful to have everybody on board, and, look forward to getting our season rolling in our, week to week, and doing what we can to make everybody happy and put on a good event.
Awesome. Well, I like to thank you for coming on and telling us, about your season and about what your plans are for improving and bringing back Fremont to the glory you had it when you had it,
And all of
making
Ohio
even
sprint car racing.
yeah, and trying to better the sport in general in the state of Ohio and in our region.
I mean, he's
Thanks
got
for
team. He's got team. He's racing one, running the track, helping with the series. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much more you can get involved and try to make it better. I mean, I don't know if he's got any more time to do anything else at this point.
There's not a lot of extra time.
But maybe we'll get you on, halfway through the season and see how your season's going. I think we're going to try to get everybody that we've had on back on after, half the season's over and just kind of get a touch base again and see how things have been. And, good luck. Good luck racing this Friday.
Yeah, I'm
Saturday.
probably going to
Always
need
racing
that more
Friday.
than I am for Saturday.
And good luck with Superhero Night. That's definitely something cool, to let people in if they're wearing costume and get in free. That's pretty cool. I don't see a lot of other tracks doing, those kind of events and stuff. So that's really nice to see. It's refreshing to see. It takes me back to, the old school days where, you put the focus on the fans and, because without the fans, you can't afford to pay the drivers, without fans,
Right.
you have to have both, and you have to treat both with respect and importance. But again, thank you for coming on. It was nice having you, and I think that's all we have for this evening. So if anybody else would like to join our podcast as a guest, I think we might have somebody lined up for next week. But if you would like to join the podcast, hit us up on Facebook or any social media at From the Infield or at Ohio Motorsports, or on pretty much every social media site. And make sure to check out FremontOHSpeedway.com and Fremont Speedway on Facebook to stay up to date on their upcoming events and any other fun things they have going on. Rich, again, thank you for coming on and giving us your time this evening.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys, having a show that promotes the sport. It's important and it takes everybody.
Thank you. Well,
Thanks,
that's
man.
it, folks. Dan, do you got anything, Dan? Nope. All right.
No, I've said thank you to him and 14 times, but thanks, Rich. Appreciate it. I hope to I'll come bother you in a couple weeks when I make my way over there so I can properly introduce myself. But it's been a pleasure and appreciate you coming on here.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. See everybody next week, same time, same place.